I'd like to call the meeting to order at 6 p.m. on Monday, July 20th. Roll call, please, Crosby.
Jason?
Here.
Crosby here. Mike?
Here.
Jake?
Here.
Jim is not here. Eric?
Here.
Carolyn?
Here.
Craig?
Here.
Micah?
Here.
This is an open meeting, and it has been posted as such. Pledge of allegiance, please. We have a recognition, Joe?
We do. This evening, we'd like to recognize Brook Life Church for the donation of $1,132.16 to cover unpaid lunch balances for some of our students. We appreciate their generosity.
Awesome. Thank you, Brook Life Church. Laura, any citizens' comments? No citizens' comments. All right, moving on. Presentations, Spring Athletics and Activities Review, Andy Trudell. A very tan Andy Trudell.
It's been a good couple of weeks to get tan. Definitely warm for sure. Could use some rain. Tom's working on my presentation here. There we go. I'm just telling you to turn the page. Is that good? Yep. All right. So thank you first off for having me again. Excited to talk about our spring. We had a fantastic spring at MHS. I'll start with some activities. We had a concert at the end of the school year called Circus of the Sun. Kids played a bunch of cover band music. It was a fundraiser for MFAB. Our band, orchestra, and choir kids combined on. They raised $1,700 that night. And then they recognized some seniors, a bunch of different good things, including 3 of our seniors that were there that night are going on to become music teachers, which is awesome. And 5 of those kids received music scholarships to their universities. So a great night for all the kids involved there. The Jerry Awards came out. These are the awards for high school musicals. We received 5 different awards this year. As you can see, Outstanding Orchestra, Katie Lashinsky received the Spirit Award, and then 3 of our adults who help with the program, PJ Tony and Micaiah, received Jerry Awards as well. So congratulations to all of them. HOSA went on a leadership conference to Indianapolis. This is Health Occupations Club. We had 4 kids who participated. They attended a bunch of different workshops, including things like personalized medicine, laboratory careers, veterinary science, art therapy, and so on. They met with a number of colleges, as well as pharmacy schools and medical schools. I'd like to thank Christy Peterson for taking a few days out of her summer vacation to take the kids to Indianapolis for this really worthwhile event. On to athletics. We had a really good spring. I think I totaled it up. We had 5 regional championships this spring, 3 sectional championships, a couple conference championships as well. Next page there, Tom. Here's a couple of our conference championship teams. Girls lacrosse, first ever conference title, as well as boys lacrosse, who won the conference and then made it all the way to state finals. They lost in overtime in the state finals, a great game. If any of you were able to see it, we had the ball in overtime and it's sudden death, and I thought, we're gonna win this thing. They made a nice stop, unfortunately, and scored on us, but still a fantastic season and a first time a trip to state for boys lacrosse, so congratulations to them. Individual awards, I only listed first team all conference because we had so many first team, second team, honorable mention. It would have taken quite a few pages to go through it all, which is awesome. But our first team kids are here. A couple highlights, we had 2 players of the year. Emily Simons for girls lacrosse was the conference player of the year. And then Layla Pressendorfer in girls track and field was the conference player of the year. 2 coaches of the year, Billy Spingola, boys lacrosse, And then Carly Clemente, back-to-back years, she's won it for girls lacrosse. Carly just had a baby, so I'm really hopeful that she comes back because she's a heck of a coach, so good stuff. Some more individual highlights. We had one golfer make it to the state tournament, Reese Erickson. It's his second year in a row that he's qualified for state. Finished 30th out of 102, but actually shot a 72 on day 2. Really, really good round. And Reese is coming back. We got one more year with Reese, so excited about that. There's a typo up there. Girls track was actually 5th. I saw that when I was looking at my notes today. They were 5th as a team for the second year in a row. A bunch of individual place winners there. The highlight of state track was the 4x200 meter team that won a state championship. That's the 4th relay state championship that we've won in the last 4 years on the girls' side, so pretty impressive group. I think there's a picture of them here. Just want to highlight Layla. Layla was a 3-time state champion and medaled a number of other times throughout her career as well. And then 3 of these girls and one other girl, it was Emma Craig, Angelina Doro, Libby Ganevak, and Layla Pressendorfer went to the Nike Nationals in Eugene, Oregon, and placed 2nd in both the 4x1 and 4x200 at Nationals, so that was a pretty cool thing as well. They set a school record in the 4x2 at state at 1:39:39, beat the previous mark by over 2 seconds, so they can move. Pretty impressive. Next year's dates, just a quick preview. There's the start dates. We start just in a couple weeks here with football, and then all the other fall sports a week or 2 after them. Homecoming date is September 18th. We play Franklin, who's a very good football team. It'll be a heck of a game. The dance is the next day. And then I put the musical dates up there as well. And mark your calendars for the Drowsy Chaperone, which I didn't know much about, so I looked into it. It's a musical comedy. It's a parody of the 1920s, and I'm told that they have one show-stopping song and dance number after another in that show, so it should be fun. Our kids will do a fantastic job with that as well, so that's it. Go Indians.
Thank you, Andy. Any questions for Andy?
Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, great job, Andy. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll just come up there, Tom.
Consent agenda? Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Year in review, sorry, 25-26.
Yep. So for the past 3 years, we have come to the board in the summer at the July meeting to do a year in review, just to round out where the year ended up, and then to come forward with some of the things that we're going to be working on in the upcoming school year. So we're going to cover district goals that we passed back in the 23-24 school year, key highlights from this past year, departmental goals, areas of focus, and then our commitment to ongoing progress monitoring. So just to refresh everyone, back in 23-24, we set a goal that the district will achieve a top 10% position in the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction district report card. And the second goal was that with each school also attaining a top 10%, and that we would be a destination district for staff and residents by ensuring the responsible and efficient use of fiscal resources and building a supportive professional culture within and amongst all employees. 25-26, some of the key highlights, some of the work that we did. We linked our bus transportation contract to CPI. If you guys remember in the past, we've come back with constant negotiations. Tom was able to work with them to get a multi-year agreement that tied it to CPI so that we do not have to continue coming back to talk about rate increases. We did a $3.5 million transfer to Fund 46. We installed a new district safety system. We predicted the 25-26 equalization aid very closely. Good work, Tom. We predicted the membership drop, about 125 students. It was actually 136. We froze OPEB benefits for teachers, and we increased the 403B match from $500 to $750. It was an employee-focused decision. Our early retirement offer to 8 teachers, that was a sick day buyout of $130 per day, continued access to a health clinic for a year, and then a sub-teacher rate of $225 per day to attract those folks to come back and work for us as subs. We planned and implemented 10 sections of full-day kindergarten. We balanced our budget. We adopted, our goal was early February. That goal was accomplished. We created a 5-year financial projection for operating budgets in February. We adopted a 10-year capital plan, and we broke ground and began construction on Parkview Middle School, if you haven't driven by it lately. Our review, as far as employees go, I'm satisfied with the MASD health plan. You can see over the last 3 years, we've had increased employee satisfaction with this plan. Thank you, Tom, Rachel, and everybody who puts their efforts into this. You're listening to our employees and making adjustments when necessary and when appropriate. We had a higher utilization of cost-effective medical options during that year. This is one of the reasons why we've been able to control our health insurance the way we have. Members using cost-effective $0 options increased by 25%. Expenditures on cost-effective options went up 39%, which is what we want to see. Members utilizing cooperative contracts went up 26%. Members utilizing low-cost imaging went up 22%. So you can see that the direction, the design of the plan, employees are now moving in that direction, which we appreciate. We also did some advocacy at the state level. Tom spent time on Senate Bill 383, supporting the hospital price transparency bill, support of the statewide healthcare database, support of access to claims data, and then we opposed the removal of mail order pharmacy. These are all efforts to help us control costs in the area of health insurance. We did a food service survey this past year that identified multiple areas of improvement. Tom and Chris are working on those over the course of the summer for the upcoming school year. We benchmarked staffing levels at our March 16th meeting, our comparison to the 15 closest districts based off of enrollment. And those are listed below. So when you hear us talk about our staffing levels, you can see what we're indexing against. We have our 25 projects. We did the safety installation. We did the replacement of the well pump and piping at Big Bend Elementary. At Prairie View, we replaced the fire alarm panel and a new elevator. At Clarendon, we did the roof. At Rolling Hills, we put in a new well. At Section, we replaced the gym wall partition and chiller pipe repair. At the high school, we did the new roof section over the north trim, scoreboard and track. And we put a dry sprinkler pipe replacement in at the district office. This was the 25 projects. And 26 then, to see how we carried that forward. We're doing 4K classroom preparations. We've done the Wi-Fi hardware district-wide. We've replaced the we completed a rainwater diversion and basement doors at Big Bend to prevent the flooding that we've experienced there. We're doing locker room remodels at Clarendon to create classroom space. At the high school, we've resurfaced the tennis courts. At the district office, Prairie View and Section, we're doing carpet replacement. If you guys had a chance to peek around here, you can see they're hard at work. The boardroom floor looks beautiful. Rolling Hills, if you've driven by there lately, I had a citizen send me an email asking why there was a porta potty on the roof. That was for the ease of the roofers. And then at Section, door replacement. To remind everybody, we do have these district strategic learning objectives. And if the board remembers back a few years, when we began these, about 60% of this chart was yellow, meaning that we were in progress. You can see now that the vast majority of the chart shows that we are in green. And you can see the growth that we've had over the last few years. There's a couple areas on here where when we update, when we have the final ACT, when we have the final industry credentials, as we work through this year on the MTSS framework, and then when we look at the employee satisfaction, you will see us updating these over time and marking these from gold to green. But you can see that over time, particularly in the areas of academics and then in what we're doing for our employees, you can see that we have made growth. We've set those benchmarks and made growth. Over the course of this next year, we're going to begin looking at revising these to see if we need to move the standard up. For those of you watching and for the board, Remember back 2 years ago, the DPI changed the school report card, then they changed the state assessment. This document here and these goals have helped us maintain focus through whatever changes the state decides to make. We've got some good anchor points for us to measure our effectiveness. Down in the realm of employee satisfaction, you're going to hear a report on that later tonight. But 95% staff retention. This year we were at 96.4%. So, over the course of the year, we go through, the ebbs and flows of a school year. We hear about what's going well. We hear some of the challenges. It's important to note that 96.4% of our staff are returning from last year to this year. And that is a high. It's a great marker for us to maintain. That is evidence that our professional development, that our culture, that our staffing, that our salaries, that our benefits, those things are in line, and we're maintaining employees as a result of that. In student sorry, I'm jumping around here a little bit. In student learning, you can see what the 25-26 priorities were. All of these things came forward to the board through updates, Friday updates, presentations at committee meetings, presentations at the board meetings. The board has acted on a number of those, from resource implementations and pilots, the assessment. You can see the priorities for next year are elementary literacy, grades 3 through 5 implementation, and a K-2 pilot in literacy. Elementary science research, we're going to be looking at what does the science curriculum need to look like. We're focusing a lot of our energy on the middle school transition. We anticipate kids moving into that building for the first time after spring break in 27, and then being ready in September of 27 to have 6th, 7th, and 8th grade there. That work is going to be heavy. Revise and implement our instructional framework. Gifted and talented programming we're looking at. Our focus on professional learning communities and the data that's been on there now for 3 years. We stay consistent with that. And then we are creating an instructional technology committee to take a look at and evaluate what we're doing in the classroom with the technology that we've purchased. Student services in 25-26, there was a heavy focus on student achievement in the areas of ELA and math, ensuring that we had a tier 1 foundational expectations for behavior. We've talked about behavior on a number of occasions. We sustain our mental health resources and pathways for students that are struggling. Continuing to build special education leadership capacity among our teachers and among our principals. For 26-27, we're going to be focusing on the multi-level systems of supports and behavior. Again, just maintaining that focus on behavior. And then in special education and in 504, there's a heavy compliance component that Christine and her department have to focus on. So while we do a lot of work in instruction and a lot of work in helping students, in special education, there's a lot of work on compliance. We have to check the necessary boxes that the state and the federal government ask us to check there. We're going to be focusing on specially designed instruction. So this is the support and the direct instruction that students in special education receive. We're going to be progress monitoring, making sure that we have the practices in place to ensure that our students are growing and that we make appropriate adjustments when they're not. And then focusing on instructional practices through co-planning and collaboration. So a lot of the work you see up here is going to help our students achieve at higher levels, grow, close gaps. Some of the work that you see here is related to compliance. As we go forward into human resources, you can see what we focused on in 25-26. I'm just going to move this over. 26-27, you can still see that we're going to be focusing on professional learning for all staff. The new middle school is part of HR's work this coming year. We've got coaching and evaluation of our principals, maintaining our focus on the retention rate and the culture and climate that we are focusing on in the school district. In finance, move that back over. You can see what we focused on in 25-26 and in 26-27. The budget development, again, as we ride the declining enrollment pattern down, we're adjusting our expenditures to match that. The new middle school, we're going to finalize a $7 million borrow so that we can complete the project. Our health plan, continue to focus on that, and then continuing our work to maintain our facilities. It's one of the things that as a superintendent I can say I'm most proud of is the community has been very, very generous with us in the facilities that we have. we have done a very good job of maintaining those facilities. So you see the roof work that happens year after year, you see the work that's happening within the buildings. We are taking care of what the community has given us. District-wide, you can see what we focused on in 25, 26. 26, 27, I'll be coming forward with an updated mission, vision, and values for our school district. We did a lot of work, a lot of conversation last year. We're refining that this summer, and we'll be coming forward with that for the 26, 27 school year in the upcoming months. We're going to complete Parkview Middle School. It's a tremendous project. You guys can see all the work that's going into it right now. By the end of 2027, by the end of the school year, that building will be done. Kids will be going to school in there, and by the end of that school year, then they will be working on the demolition and the renovation of the old Parkview spaces. We're going to focus on advocacy with our state legislators on K-12 public school funding. This is a big discussion. You've heard Tom talk about it month after month, particularly in the spring. We need to continue to tell our story. Mukwonago as a school district was one of the lowest funded, is one of the lowest funded school districts in the state. We have been historically. The state a few years ago gave us a lift in funding. We have to continue to have that conversation, particularly in the areas of special education categorical reimbursement. So we're going to continue that work with our local representatives. And then again, we want to make sure that we're competitive with salaries and that we stay on top of our district-wide capital maintenance. Are there any questions? Yep.
I guess just go over, just for anybody watching, the fact that we're redoing 4K classrooms, but that's not associated with the referendum.
Correct. 4-year-old kindergarten was not part of the referendum. We've covered that out of capital dollars. There has not been significant work that is needed to be done. We've shuffled some classrooms around. We're talking about buying furniture, buying instructional materials, buying the associated playthings. All of that is happening out of our operational budget. That's not coming out of the referendum.
Joe, why do they want to remove mail order pharmacy from our, or T-cart from our healthcare facility?
Some state representatives in the Senate and the Assembly represent small rural northern Wisconsin neighborhoods that have small town pharmacies that still exist. The mail order part of it kind of torpedoes them, and that's unfortunate. We used to have Miller Pharmacy here in our town. It's gone. A lot of that is simply because the mail order pharmacy aspect can undercut what they sell for. So it's just a sign of the times, man. I mean,
It's a savings, but it's costing small town
it is.
pharmacy jobs.
I mean, Amazon, it happens. Amazon does it to however many businesses, and mail orders no different on the pharmacy side of things. It's unfortunate, but if you can buy something cheaper somewhere else, we're kind of expected to do that. So that's what we do.
Thank you. Andy Wegner. Are you paying attention back there, Andy? Dry sprinkler replacement. Does that sound just funny to you guys? Dry sprinkler? Can you explain that real quick?
So the system that's in the attic, so we added sprinkler the regular first floor, but then the fire protection also had to be in the attic of this building. So that's not wet, that is dry with air. It has to be tested every 3 years. When they test it, it is apt to have water left in it. It rusted over time, and we started getting a bunch of pinholes. So it was to the point of replace a section of pipe here, replace a section of pipe there. We ended up replacing everything. We now have a different system that's in there trying to mitigate that moisture that's left in the system as well to make this pipe system last much longer.
Thank you. That was my next question. How do we not have it have rust and pinhole leaks, et cetera? But thank you. Okay. Anybody else? Micah.
What is the finalization of the $7 million borrow?
If you just wait to the upcoming part of this agenda, we're going to cover that together. So
Anybody else? Thank you, Joe. Good job on that. Consent agenda. Like to approve the school board meeting minutes of June 15th, 2026, and approval of vouchers and receipts. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry.
It's not
It's
a vote.
consent.
Oh, yeah, thank you very much.
Any comments or
Agenda is approved. Next up, Act 89 policies. Joe?
Yep, so we brought these policies forward.
Joe, can I interrupt you for a second?
Yeah.
I went to AC/DC last night at Camp Randall, so I apologize if I'm a
A
little.
little foggy.
Yeah, thank you.
No problem. How was it?
I was just selling beer. No, I'm kidding. It was great.
It was fine. So Act 89, if you remember, a lot of this falls around the grooming stuff to protect students, the recent law. So these policies are being brought forward. This is in the information section for you this evening. If there are any questions? We also have Act 89 policies down below. We have the same policies, we have different policies, so there was a substantial batch of policies that came forward. We're bringing these forward to you tonight for information. And then we will be coming back in August, trying to get my months straight here, in August. I can't believe it's end of July already. In August, then, for action on the policies that are listed for information. And if, just again, Act 89, this past school year, the state finally passed important laws that identify what grooming is, what those behaviors are. They put prohibitions in place, and they also attached criminal consequences for those individuals that are doing it, which is very important. So as a school district superintendent, as a parent, I really appreciate what the state did in this. There are a lot of policies, though, that are attached to it, so we're coming forward with it month by month so that we're ready to go by September 1.
Any questions for Joe? All right, moving on. Personnel.
All right, so the first item is the handbook revision. So this is being presented just as information discussion. We've got some updates to our both support staff handbook as well as our professional staff handbook. One of the most significant changes in both handbooks is how we are requesting to approach unpaid leaves of absence that are not medically related. So those are leaves of absence that a teacher might ask, my son's playing in a national baseball tournament, I want to go watch. Or there's a wedding and it's out of state and it happens to be during the school year. So these are non-medical requests. I think that's really important to know. Our teachers are on a 187-day contract. It's the same as most of our support staff. And as you see with the memo, we are just seeing a significant increase in the number of unpaid requests that are coming in. So we had 1,299 in total just last year alone. When our support staff is vacant, those are really difficult to fill positions. We're at about a 40% fill rate when our support staff is gone. Teachers, we have a higher rate of substitutes coming in. However, we know that teachers are the #1 influence on student achievement, and we want them in front of kids at all times if possible. And so the way that we are approaching this is that for both groups, we are going to request that they identify, the person identifying or who is requesting the leave is going to identify whether they want the standard leave or if they want a leave waiver. The waiver would allow the employee to essentially not have to give the district back the money that we spend on their absence. However, if they choose that, it's a once-in-a-lifetime request. They don't get it ever again during their employment. If they choose the standard leave, what we would be looking to do is charge them for the cost of their substitute as well as charge them for the full premium of their benefits. And so we're hoping that this honors both the true once-in-a-lifetime, people who, again, they can't control when mom and dad's 50th wedding anniversary is and we're all going to Florida, and also helps to mitigate those times when we have staff who we know really just want to, every year I'm going to go watch X, Y, or Z take place. So we thought this was a pretty good compromise. Our administrators weighed in heavily on this. Our teacher advisory was also had feedback on this. So then the other significant change for the employee handbook for support staff is that we have added sick time for the 10-month part-time employee group. So that is a benefit that they have not had in the past. We are proposing that they receive 3 sick days over the course of the year. Twofold that we see this being beneficial. One is we are almost always guaranteed an emergency closing day in Wisconsin. And our current handbook, our handbook states that if you have sick leave available and you are part of that support staff group, rather than taking the day unpaid, you can use your sick time for that day so that you're not missing, again, hours worked because of the weather. And then two, we know we have an employee group that, again, they have kids in the schools, they themselves get sick, and so rather than, again, penalizing them, giving them 3 days of sick time. So those are the most significant changes. Joe referenced the policy, Act 89 policies. You'll notice in both drafts of the handbook that it currently just has a space in green for add policies when they're approved. So on that August 10th meeting in this handbook, I will put the approved policies, provided, again, they are approved at that meeting. Questions?
Thank you. Any questions?
I got one.
Mike?
Can you kind of explain a little bit more about the once-in-a-lifetime request? I mean, could it be that we have 1,200 of those also?
No, so we do have the ability. So with all of these leaves, whether people are going to request a standard leave or a leave waiver, it all has to be approved by two different people. One is their direct supervisor, and then two is human resources. We do have the ability to say no. We can say we can't, we can't grant this request, and that might be because of time of year when there's a substitute shortage. It might be because the same person has asked year after year after year after year, right? So we do have, I would say, fences in place to ensure that something like that does not happen.
Okay, thank you.
ACDC is probably not a one-time, lifetime request there. That might be a no.
I didn't know they were all still alive. I'm not gonna lie.
Barely.
Okay.
Staff retention, please.
Okay, I'm so excited to share this presentation with you. Give me a minute. There is a oh, Joe, you're doing it. You can go ahead and click, Joe. Okay, so like Joe said, so excited. For the first time, you'll see in 5 years, we have surpassed the 95% retention rate. So we were at 96.4 heading into this summer. This data was updated, I think, last week, Friday, right, Tom? Mm-hmm. So this is like as fresh as it gets. This is just really, I think, as Joe said, a testament to the leadership of our principals, the culture that we are creating here in this district of, employee favorable decisions, the work that Tom and Lindsay Duquette do around benefits and compensation. Like, this is just, people want to be here, and that's a really, really exciting thing to see. We know that when we retain our staff and we develop that longevity, that is better for students. They grow in their instructional capabilities, they grow in their mastery of their craft, and so it just makes for a really great experience for kids. So we had several retention efforts, and these were in place. Some of these have been in place for the last 3 years. Some of them were fairly new. So obviously we wanted to maintain our competitive wages. We continue to optimize our benefits. So like I said, the 403B $750 increase, that was huge. We this year implemented a culture of professionalism and really a focus around what does that look like. People want to work in a workplace where they have autonomy to be who they are, but that there's also a standard of excellence that's attributed to the entire system. We do exit interviews around our resignations. I did share in the last board update some of our resignation emails. I thought those were important because not only do we see a high retention rate, but when we are seeing people leave, they are not leaving to chase an opportunity in another district that's 10 miles away. They are leaving because it's a decision that they are making for their family, or they're leaving education completely, and so that's really important for us to understand, because the last thing we want is a teacher who's leaving us to go teach in, Muskego 10 miles down the road, okay? We do stay interviews, so I'll go over those stay interview themes, but we had 27 that we did this past spring. We issue the perception survey data. We issue the perception survey twice a year, and then we do an analysis of that data. I continue to go around to buildings and give Vision Keeper recognitions. Our principals nominate teachers, staff members that they think are doing exemplary work. We have a State of the District annual meeting that we've done over the course of the last 2 years, and that has really, I think, helped to increase transparency between the district as a whole and individual staff, as well as given people a voice to ask questions about things that maybe are the 1,000-foot view, things that they don't always get to talk about. And then we continue to maintain our mentoring program. So the stay interview questions have not really changed too much, and you can see them there. I'm not going to read them through, but Joe, if you want to click to the next one. We'll go over some of the themes. So you'll start to, hopefully, you've heard me do this now, I think, for 3 years, recognize that some themes are just continual. They have been there from the beginning, and some of them, it's a really good thing, and this is the first one. Our strength as a community is in our relationships and in the collaboration that exists. Our staff over and over again talk about just overall pride in their community, as well as feeling like they are part of a team. There was a lot of positive feedback around our principal leadership, around the trust that's built there. And again, just that focus that we have on professional learning teams is really, I think, become institutionalized in Mukwonago. It's just the expectation that you're going to collaborate, that everybody brings something to the table. And again, that really has served our students well. The second theme was around communication. So we know that communication can always be improved. That's something that I think is a work in progress on the daily. But what staff described as being, I would say, of concern is that there were decisions that they hear about that are made without enough explanation. So we know that this year there were some really significant decisions that came at a system level, the music program probably being the biggest. And some staff expressed, like, it would have been nice, even though I'm not directly a music teacher, to get some updates every once in a while on what's happening there. Staff do not like last-minute communication. I don't think that's a surprise to anybody. And then inconsistent messaging between buildings. So something that we work really closely with, specifically our elementary team around, is ensuring that when we're going to implement something, that it really looks, feels, and sounds the same in each of our buildings so that we don't hear this type of feedback. And I think, again, that's just a work in progress. And then just some ambiguity about who to go to for information. So we've had some, staffing changes, and so just not always knowing who do I go to with this. And so what are they asking for? Staff want consistency of consequences. They want minimized classroom disruptions. They want accountability. They want visibility of their administration. They talked about that being one of the most proactive communication tools, is just being present. Walking down the hallway, being able to ask somebody a question is far easier than sending the email, waiting for the response, and so that visibility people really wanted. Theme number 3, this is a tale as old as time. Get it? So time. Time is, thanks for laughing, Mike. So time is it's a consistent theme. There is never enough time. Something that we did last year very, very purposefully was that on every staff professional development day, we reserved half of that day for dedicated staff work time. That was received incredibly favorably, and we plan to continue that practice. The other thing that we're doing right now is looking at what are the administrative tasks that our teachers sometimes get bogged down with. So making copies, entering absences, and could we take some of that off their plate for them? Because even though it's a little thing, it's those little things add up to be big things. And then going back to the communication piece, staff really would like to see a decrease in the number of interruptions when they are collaborating together. So really protecting that sacred time that they have in their learning teams, trying to avoid, pulling those teachers again into other meetings, parent meetings, things like that. Next theme was most meaningful recognition is personal, specific, and genuine. This, again, is a continued theme. People want to be appreciated for authentic work. They don't want the generic, everybody's doing a great job here, Thanks for all your hard work. That really falls on deaf ears. And so anytime that you're in a building, anytime that you're able to recognize a teacher specifically for something that you observe is really viewed very favorably. I think that the other piece that people have expressed is that The Vision Keeper, so both the recognition as well as the Vision Keeper Social are two of our most well-attended events. We had, I think, 107 Vision Keepers this past year, and we had 97 who attended the social. People want to come. They want that recognition. They enjoy that culture of affirmation. And then the stay interview process, a lot of people, when they participate in a stay interview, will say, thank you for doing this. It's a great way to learn more about our district. And then the last theme is meaningful professional learning. So something that I heard consistently was that staff really wanted to get back to being able to both request and then be supported in attending state and national conferences specific to their content area. That really slowed down with COVID. And so staff, I think, are looking for avenues like, can we get this back? And my response has consistently been like, just ask. We'll field the request. But I think people were just, kind of shy to ask based on all of the stuff that happened with COVID. The topics that staff are looking for: behavior management, mental health, special education, content area conferences. I think it's really important to note that Christine and her team have done an incredible job of responding to this ask. Christine can speak to it far better than I can, but we have partnered with Behavioral Solutions. We've brought in professional speakers. We've had trauma-informed care professional development. Christine has brought in experts over the last year. I think that kind of like time, student behavior, and navigating the complex needs that some of our students bring to us every day will continue to be an area where we just need to develop ourselves. And so I want to say that because I don't want this to imply that, like, right, Christine's area of special education or mental health is just like she's saying, I'm going to put it to the wayside. It's quite the opposite. Do you have anything you want to add to that I missed? Okay. So then what were the overall themes for improvement? So improvement for communication and transparency, protecting staff time and reducing the unnecessary workload, increased consistency in student behavioral expectations, and then building trust through visible leadership and authentic staff engagement. So what are we going to do to get there? So we are going to continue to recognize and appreciate staff the way we have been. We are going to continue to build in that work time. We're going to continue to ensure competitive compensation, high quality employee benefits. What we're going to start doing is we're going to look at our staff updates. Those are sent out 2 times per month. We're going to look at those to become the vehicle for sharing district-wide information. So to address that theme of, right, staff don't always know where to go to find things, we want to be able to say, go here. This is where everything important system-wide can be found. We are going to solidify the mission, vision, and values of the MASD. So Dr. Cook started that work over the course of this last year. We really need to work on solidifying that so that, again, staff have an understanding of who we are, what we stand for. We need to ensure that we're clearly communicating at all levels of the organization the what and why around system change. So again, using that music example, making sure that we're communicating with not just the music staff, not just staff that are directly impacted, but really the system. We are going to work on minimizing the time that building principals are pulled from their schools. So right now we pull them roughly 3 times a month for district-wide meetings. We are looking to reduce that a little bit going into next year, as well as taking feedback from our principals as to what is the most meaningful professional learning for them, that we can still, again, meet their needs while also keeping them in their schools as often as possible. And then you have heard about Initiative 1. We are going to look to expand the Initiative 1 framework to develop a strong and professional positive culture. So there are 12 people who are going to be going through some training to be able to expand that to other staff. And then the last piece, which again I'm just super excited to share with you, is that we had our highest level of satisfaction on our staff perception survey in the spring of this year. So we had 364 responses. This is right on par for the number of responses we've seen over the year. Last year in the fall was 381. But we had 81% of our employees state that they would recommend the MASD as a great place to work. And so I can't emphasize enough how ecstatic our principals were to see that number, to see our team. This is right. If somebody's going to recommend us as a great place to work, they are genuinely happy with their work here. They are happy with the direction that we are moving as a system. And so I think, again, this data point really speaks really highly of the work that has gone into our staff retention over the last 3 years. Questions?
Mike?
To increase the administration visiting the schools, what does that look like? Is that like once a week, once a month, every day? Somebody's walking through and you guys just hand off the baton and someone goes, what does that look like?
Yeah, I think twofold. I think one is the visibility of the building principal and vice principals, assistant principals. I think that was one, area that we heard feedback around was, can we keep them in schools? And when they're here, again, for a lot of our building principals, sometimes they get bogged down with, paperwork, with behavior. And so how can we help to create systems for them so that they are visible? From a district perspective, we have talked as a district team about making ourselves more visible in classes. And in buildings themselves. And so we all have kind of taken a different approach to that. I can say that my approach is I typically will visit teachers on their prep time, not during classroom observation. It can be a little daunting, like why is the director of HR in the back of my class while I'm teaching, and what's the follow-up? And so my strategy has typically been I go in during their prep, how's it going, what do you need, and just have a genuine conversation. Christine does, I don't remember what they're called, but Let's Connect session. So Christine goes into each building and sets aside a time. Staff know that they can come and talk with her about anything related to student services or other. Angela is, I think, in the buildings probably more than anybody. I think she's there more than she is here. And then, Joe, if you want to speak to your visibility strategy.
Yeah, I do monthly one-on-ones with our principals, and we take a little walk around the school, say hi, stop into classrooms, talk to teachers, give the fist bumps to the kids. And it's been a great way for me to connect with the principals and just make sure, that I maintain a pulse as to what's going on in school.
So it sounds like you're doing a lot of this already, but they want more of it.
So I don't think that you can ever have too much visibility.
Okay.
And I think that during certain times of years, while these are our best laid plans, there are certain times of the year where it gets put to the back burner just because of, other things pile up on the plate. I know another strategy that we have talked about, that Joe and I have talked about, is looking at each position within our system and what would it look like to go and live in their shoes for a day. So what does it look like to, serve as the building custodian? What does it look like to serve as a special education paraprofessional? And kind of do a day in the life to just, again, continue to understand the roles that we ask people to do every day.
Thank you.
I'm excited to see Joe serve lunch. She plans on doing it.
Anybody else? Thank you. Oh, Micah.
How many responses did you get back?
Micah, can you please talk on the microphone?
Yes. How many responses did you get back from the teachers, percentage-wise, of all the teachers we have?
From the survey?
From the survey.
So we had 364 people who took the survey. We sorted in between our certified staff and our professional staff. About 80%, roughly, of our certified staff take the survey. About 5% of our support staff take the survey. So we have a really good representation from our certified. We have some work to do with our support staff.
Okay.
We have about 750 employees total, more or less, Tom.
You're one now.
Anybody else for Rachel? All right, next up is the co-curricular handbook. Always exciting. Good stuff there.
I'll invite you to our team meetings when we talk about that. So co-curricular handbook. So Andy Trudell was here earlier. In conjunction with Andy Trudell, Josh Korth, who is our middle school athletics and activities advisor, as well as then our elementary principals. We review this every year to determine if there are clubs that are no longer running, if there are clubs that people want to add. And so the summary of the changes is listed in the memo, but we are, if you saw something redlined in the curricular handbook, that is something that we are looking to remove. Green is we are looking to add. Specifically at our elementary, we did add some stipends for ski club, choir club, and there was one more. Hang on. And that was really, again, to just try and continue to align with our secondary friends for the work that they do. So art club, choir club, and ski club were the ones that we added. We additionally, so you'll see softball We removed their JV2 coach. We have not run a JV2 in softball for many years, and so that's just not money that we need to allocate there. So we did end up with a cost savings with all of our recommended changes. I know it doesn't seem large, but savings is savings, like I tell my husband. So that's, I think, again, a win for everybody. That's all I have.
Any questions for Rachel? All right, moving on. Finance. Tom Karthauser, please.
Okay, so Mike, I'm going to do my best to answer the question here. So coming up here next month here, this is just FYI information, no actions needed, but in the board memo that I have for this, we have the timeline for what we are going to, Joe, or Dr. Cook, can you go to the next page there? We have the calendar laid out for what the next steps are in terms of borrowing the remaining $7 million. So the referendum was for $89.1 million. We've borrowed $82.1 million. We delayed borrowing $7 million, just to time it up with the cash flow needs of the project. Anytime that we issue bonds less than $10 million or less, there's more bidders that can get involved. Banks, namely, can get involved on a bond issue that's less than $10 million. So we expect a lot of bids to come in, you know, as a AA+ rated school district. Anytime we're issuing bonds for a project such as this, there's a lot of interest. So that's the timeline there. What you should basically know is on Monday, August 10th, Brian Brewer from Baird will come in. He guides us in this. He'll kind of set our expectations, what the interest rate expectations are. We'll give we'll adopt a parameters resolution on Monday, August 17th that says, here's the interest rate, do not exceed this. If the interest rates are higher than that, don't issue the debt. So we'll set those parameters, and then the remainder of that ultimately leads to us getting the money on September 23rd if everything works out, and it should. Any questions about that?
Micah, you good on that? Thanks, Tom. Investment performance?
Okay, just a few times a year I'll give some updates here. Dr. Cook, if you could slide down. So we basically have two major investments. We have our OPEB, Fund 73, other post-employment benefits. We have about $4 million left in Fund 73. We talked about it a couple of times tonight already. We froze that benefit. So that liability, that debt is not going to grow anymore beyond this year. So as teachers who are vested in that, when they meet 20 full-time equivalent years of service and reach at least age 55, they vest into that benefit. We pay it out. If you're on the board long enough, you'll see Fund 73 go down to zero over the next 10, 20-ish years. But the rates of return there, that money's on deposit at Citizens Bank, and we are in the upper threes. There's an attachment on the next page, but before you go there, Dr. Cook, if you just slide down, our $82.1 million that we borrowed, no, I'm sorry, could you just slide up there? Yep, I just want that little table there. There we go. We have earned almost $2.4 million in interest earnings on the $82.1 million that we've borrowed thus far. We project to earn interest totaling $4.7 million throughout the duration of having the money before we pay it to all the folks that are outside working on that building. So that's just FYI information on how our investments are doing. So there is our deposit for Fund 73, our OPEB funds. If you just slide down to the bottom of that there, yeah, we're in the upper threes. Interest rates are coming down, but we averaged about 4.2% for the 25-26 year. That's all I got. Any questions?
Anybody? Thank you, Tom. Appreciate it. Action items. Hires, retirements, resignations. Rachel.
Yep. So it's been a busy month. We've got the following people being recommended for a contract for 26-27. Thomas Carmen is being recommended as an art teacher who will travel between Rolling Hills and Eagleville. Ashley Mulch is a third grade teacher being recommended for Rolling Hills. Josh Barnett is our recommended candidate for our Dean of Students position at Parkview. Just a note, it says effective start date is 8/12. That is the start date that we put for all of our employees that start in 26-27. Our Dean of Students contract does have more days on that contract than a typical teacher contract. So we will work with Josh, and he will likely be in the system a little bit earlier than that. Jessica Sekulis is going to be 6th grade at Clarendon. And then Brett Olson, we are recommending to be the business and marketing teacher at Parkview. And then we had 2 resignations submitted. Alex Tankey, who was a social studies teacher at Mukwonago High School, and then Lisa Zick, a special education teacher at Parkview Middle School.
I'll make a motion to approve hires, retirements, and resignations.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. 2026-27 academic standards.
All right.
Angela?
Each year, the board is required by state law to approve the academic standards that we are going to use within the district. At the June board meeting, I presented those standards. They were also attached for you again tonight. We are recommending adoption of the Wisconsin state standards for all areas and are looking for the board to take action to approve those standards.
Make a motion to adopt the 26-27 academic standards.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Fund 46 transfer. Tom?
Okay, so just a couple of year-end moves here. There's always a strategy behind what we do at this time here. The 2 things we'll talk about is we're not spending money, but we are just moving money from this part of the budget over to this part of the budget. The first thing that we're talking about is our medical plan. As of June 30, we do an analysis. I should say we have actuaries who help us do a medical analysis of how much incurred but not reported claims we have. That number is $2.7 million. As of June 30, we had, bear with me here, $800,000 in our medical liability account. We should have 2.7. That's what's recommended. So as we move money from this side of the Fund 10 over into a medical liability account, we would ultimately put $2.7 million aside, and we would lower our tax levy in doing so. When you transfer money as such, the state will say that's a shared cost. We will reimburse you about 42% of those costs. That's our district-specific number. So this is kind of just being fiscally mindful, conservative, to set money aside for future medical bills and increasing our aid and lowering the tax levy all at the same time. So that's just an update on what we're going to do there. The last thing that I'm asking permission for then is in order to maximize our state aid each and every year. Again, when we max aid, we minimize the property tax levy as best we can for what's in our control. And in some years, we've transferred up to $3.5 million out of Fund 10 into Fund 46 this year. It's a much smaller value. We're looking to simply move $150,000 out of Fund 10 into Fund 46. Those funds are then earmarked, dedicated only for specific building projects that are on the 10-year capital plan. And in doing these things, then we will have maxed out, in my estimate, maxed out our state aid as much as we possibly can. I've had a lot of fancy charts in the past. I have not done that this time.
Doing great so far, Tom. But how would you like the motion to read?
For a $150,000 transfer from Fund 10 into Fund 46.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I make a motion for $150,000 transferred to Fund 46 as Tom briefed.
Second.
You have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any discussion? Eric, sorry. Eric?
I got nothing.
Motion passes, thank you. Act 89 policies, Joel?
Yep, so in front of you, these policies were presented first in June. These are to address Act 89. These are important to get in the employee handbook, important to protect our children while in school.
Make a motion to approve the Act 89 policies.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor say aye.
Any questions?
Any questions? Sorry.
Nope.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Mukwonago tornado siren easement.
Andy, do you want to come up?
Andy?
I'd given you a memo with information from the Mukwonago Village Police Chief. He's been working through a grant process to get an additional 2 sirens put in the village of Mukwonago. One of them he wants to put on the west side of our community using a section of the high school property right off of the west entrance. So the easement that I put in your packet, I've perused it here a smidgen more, and I do see they have us as Walworth County, so I'm gonna have that corrected. But other than that, it's just getting your blessing to allow them to put the tornado siren right there. It'll obviously benefit us as a school district by having that where we have the largest percentage of people during sporting events and everything else too.
Can we ask a question now, or do we gotta wait?
I think you'd make a motion first.
All right, make a motion to approve the Mukwonago tornado siren easement.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions?
Yes, can you just clarify? I think I asked this a couple months ago, but we have no liability for repairing it, fixing it,
No,
none of that.
we
If
do
it
not.
falls down and hits a car,
Correct.
nobody
No.
can sue us.
No.
All right, thanks.
Eric?
And then this, just to clarify, this doesn't impact the cross-country runners that run around that space?
No, so if you refer to the map that was there, it's roughly 75 feet off the center line of Highway NN. And the easement has anything beyond 50 feet, I believe it was. So it's within a short area of that path.
Perfect, thank you.
Anybody else? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you. Thanks, Andy. Have a good night. Unfinished business, superintendent report. Joe?
Thank you. So first, welcome, Micah. I'm grateful for your willingness to serve on the board. I think all of our administrators are. We see the work that you guys do meeting by meeting, month by month. We know the phone calls you guys get. We know the comments sometimes that appear on social media. We do really appreciate your service. Your direction helps us move forward as a school district. Christine, through Christine's work, our district has been awarded the 2026-2027 AODA grant, so that's alcohol and other drug grant, totaling $50,000. So that money will be used to assist our students who are struggling with substance abuse through the support of a social worker to help coordinate activities.
Thank you, Christine. That's awesome.
We do appreciate that. I want to thank our IT and our buildings and grounds staff. They have been extremely busy this summer. You've heard us talk about the security improvements that we've made. That has come on their backs, testing the PA systems, making sure that all of the stuff that we never see is up and running. Andy and his team for the facilities work. We see new carpet in here. We see new roofs. We see our buildings getting cleaned and scrubbed over. The amount of work that they do to tackle summer school. They outfit the high school to be an elementary school, which is a remarkable task that they complete. So really appreciative of what they do. We do know that there's a lot of work ahead, but they're doing a great job right now. I do want to thank Ben Kassow and our entire summer school staff for another successful summer school year. It's an amazing opportunity that we provide our kids, both academic programs, but also fun things, athletics, music, the whole business. Our staff come forward. Ben and his team do an outstanding job coordinating that. So thank you very much, Ben. And that concludes my report.
Thanks, Joe. I have a couple things. I as well wanted to, as speak for the board, I hope you don't mind, to welcome Micah. Thanks, Micah, for stepping up. Appreciate it. The staff retention rate's pretty awesome. Thanks, Rachel. That's good stuff. I did get to sign the beam yesterday at Maxwell Street Days. I don't know if anybody was there, but they had a young intern from Cullen that was on the microphone talking about Mukwonago, talking about our community and talking about the construction of the Parkview, and he was very knowledgeable, and it was fun. And he would pull people in. It was like a guess your weight thing. He was really good at it. And I got to sign it, and I was proud to sign it. It was fun. So I think it's going in on Wednesday. Joe, have you heard that? That beam, that main beam that everybody can see is going to go on a Wednesday?
Yep, thank you. Yes, it's going to be set on Wednesday. It's not getting, I was there on Saturday. There were some people who were talking about how it was going to get painted over gray. It's not getting painted over gray. It's staying white. It's going to be in a position where we can lift the ceiling tiles and expose it so people will be able to see it. We'll have those ceiling tiles removed when we do our grand opening. People will be able to see their names. We'll have a flashlight there. Maybe you can find your name on that thing or not. When I was there on Saturday, we already had to flip it. There was a lot of community interest there. And in addition to that, there was a tremendous amount of community interest and support in the Veterans Project.
Yep.
There was information provided this weekend on that too. So
Yeah, you stole my thunder, because that jar for the VFW, no, for the Legion was full, and that's good. That's awesome. I also like to thank the Tom and your department for balancing the budget. The government can't seem to do it, but we need to do it, and we're good at it. So thank you very much. I think that's a big deal. And we have a lot of just really tough discussions coming up in the next 5-6 months. I mean, really tough discussions, and it's not going to be easy. But Mike, are you going to get to maybe enjoy a little bit of it? Probably not.
Good. I will.
That's all I have. We're going to, do I have to gavel out first?
No, you have to read.
Oh, yeah. We're going to go into executive session concerning employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the government body has jurisdiction or exercise responsibility.
Make a motion to close the open session and go into closed session.
Second.
Crosby?
Jason,
Yes.
Crosby, yes. Mike,
Yes.
Jake,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Carolyn,
Yes.